welcome to the EatingCast. I am Chris.
And I'm Vincent, and today we are joined by the holistic transformation specialist, entrepreneur, author of Own Yourself, and overall the people's kingmaker, Cary Hokama. What's up, man?
Yo, what's
Hey.
up? What's up? How you guys doing, man? Thanks for having me on the show. You guys are doing great things, and I just wanted to say that it's an honor to be here, breaking bread with y'all. That's what's up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on and taking a part of your day, Cary. So kind of like quickly, tell me a little bit about yourself, kind of like what your upbringing was and kind of like where you're at right now.
Yeah. I really get up every single day because I have a passion to really empower other people just through the results that I produce within myself, living at my highest potential and producing the results that I want to set for myself. So everything else other than that, whatever people say about me or how they connect is just, it's not because I wanted to do that, but it's just my life has been an invitation for other people to connect so that they can tap into their own potential. And if I could help along the way, man, that's more than an honor. That's what I love to do. Other than that, I've built a couple businesses along the way, and since 2012, I built my business on the side as a fitness nutritionist, as a personal trainer, as a life coach, and I've also done real estate on the side, and that really has allowed me to invest in other companies, other brands along the way. Media is one aspect that I want to continue to not only invest in but produce myself. And the last 4 or 5 years have been able to speak on stage around the nation, speak with some titans in the industry, whether it's personal development or business or leadership. The biggest names out there, I've been able to speak on stage with them and write a book and really just continue this line of personal development and achieving personal breakthroughs through storytelling. So that's been in a nutshell what I've been really passionate about doing. It's what gets me up every single morning and keep conquering this world that's pretty tough to live in these days.
Yeah, and for those who don't know Cary's story, before he became who he was, he actually he was trying to, well, from what I saw, right, you were trying to do what you love, and then all of a sudden you had these people kind of like twist your story, and you had these people give you like false, I don't know how you would call it, like they gave you these tools to do like something great, and then when you were done with it, they just twisted it and made you look like a villain. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. That's when my wife and I got engaged. We didn't have a lot of money, so we were just trying to save up and get engaged and just try to build the next year and a half, trying to save us some money so we could get married. But we got hand selected to have our wedding be televised on the Oprah Winfrey Network. It was a show called Don't Tell the Bride. It was dope. It was just a great opportunity. It was a free wedding. They paid for a show. So they paid for a wedding. And the premise is that I had 3 weeks to plan the entire wedding from A to Z. My fiance was not allowed to talk to me or see me. She just had to be in the background the whole time. And it was cool. It was dope. I did wonderfully. We got everything done. And when the show aired, they just completely turned my character into like a villainous character, right? Someone who was greedy, someone who spent all my money on the bachelor party. I didn't care about my wife. I just wanted to have fun with the homies. And that's what they showed, and which is completely false, right? And so that was just my last straw. Prior to that, Vincent, I was in a band. I was a lead singer of a rock band for 8.5 years. We played at the biggest shows here in Hollywood. We opened for big bands. We were managed by a nationally known company. As an Asian lead singer in the early 2000s, there's just not a lot of marketability, with major record labels. So I was always told, hey man, we can't sign you because your band's just not marketable for the open market. Right. So it was just constantly being told that me telling my own stories in my own head that you can't do this, or this is just the way it is and you can't do anything about it. Right. So I think maybe you guys could relate to that, but I got sick and tired of that. I got sick and tired of people setting my story and setting this path that I felt like I had to walk on and not do anything about it. right? So that show really was the last straw for me. I got so upset, and I was like, how do people get away with this? And I said, rather than like attack them or try to like, go against them, I said that I'm never ever going to let anyone dictate my life story again. And so it was in 2012 after that show, I was like, listen, man, I'm going to start my own platform, run my own business, create my own realities, and share that with the world, share the truth with the world. And so I had no idea at the time that I was going to be an author or a speaker or a guy who gets my messages all over the world. I just knew I had to start somewhere. And I always wanted to help people, right? And so I started with fitness. I became a personal trainer and a nutritionist and got my executive life coaching certification all within a year and a half. And right after that, I got my real estate license and I started building, that platform. And it wasn't until 4.5 years after that that I started seeing some amazing breakthroughs, not just mentally, but also financially and spiritually and just physically too, and helping others do the same. I was like, you know what? I can share my story now. And it doesn't have to be for the masses. I don't have to be a New York Times bestselling author. I just want to set my story straight and also illustrate some of the things that I wanted to speak into existence in the future that I wanted to personally accomplish, to call myself out and put those things into existence so that I have no other excuse but to fulfill that. And so today, 5 years after I written that book, a lot of the things that I had spoke into existence in that book is all happening now to the T. And that's something that has been really amazing. I think that's what people resonate with. And it's not because I wanted to inspire people, right? Inspiration should not be conscious of itself. It's just what I did to the greatest gift that I can give to the world is for me to be at my absolute best. And if people want to follow that, dude, I'm all for it. Right. So that's where I am today. Just not letting anyone dictate or tell my story again, whether it's because we have an Asian culture or a manly culture or a social culture, whatever that is, you get to break that and allow what your future, the clarity of who you want to become, dictate the outcome of today, step by step.
Yeah, man. When I came across your speaking session with Tim Story, and when you were talking about how the lady that you bumped into at Trader Joe's, was it? And
Yeah.
she clarified, who you were, and then I think the last thing she said was, "Oh, your wingman was awesome," right? And when the next part you said was you were driving home and you were just like your fist was clenching that steering wheel, and that resonated with me because that kind of reminded me of, to me, bro, you're like Anakin Skywalker, right? You're like misunderstood and then so close to going to the dark side, but the opposite, right? The next arc, you just kind of flip it around. But yeah, I felt that so much because there are many times when people would tell my friends or like, oh yeah, Vincent this, Vincent that, and I'm like, no, that's not me. Like, please let me explain to you my story, my side, who I am, and same with you. That was the point when I was like, I can't let people keep telling my story. Like, this is my fucking life, my narrative, and you going around and spreading dirt on my name, it makes no sense. And I actually give huge kudos to those who actually take the time to approach me and ask me, like, is this true? Or like, so can you explain your side of the story? And when given that platform, I realized like, shit, I shouldn't wait for people to come ask me to open up a platform. I should just speak it into existence. I should just create my own platform and just speak for myself. And then when people, come across those things that I talk about, then they'll know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like that's definitely like something that kind of like resonates with like I guess like all of us over here is just like the idea of just you telling your own narrative, right? You sharing your own story. That's definitely something that we all kind of like have in common in terms of like endearment, because like it's not cool to have people like talk crap about you when like a lot of the facts aren't true, right? And it's not cool to have people now judge you based off of like what others have said. It's just not cool. And to now like I guess go above and beyond, right? To actually say, enough is enough. I'm going to now talk about who I am. I'm going to share my story. I'm going to share my narrative, right? Those are definitely like a lot of humbling and kind of like empowering things, right? Because a lot of times what I feel like in our generation, or like, you know, like a lot of Asian Americans in general are very timid and they want to keep to themselves, right? They don't want their private lives or like their achievements to be known, or even like they don't want to enter a world of like conflict, right? It's like, oh, you know, your story or your narrative may be one way, but everyone's tarnishing it or saying this and saying that, but you just don't want to confront the trouble, right? Because we're taught by our parents, like, or at least I was taught by my parents, like, oh, don't worry about what other people say. You know, what you do is what you do. You know, whatever people say is whatever they say. So that's definitely something that's really important to bring up, right? Especially for a lot of Asian Americans, like just kind of stepping up and stepping out of that out of the comfort zone, and speaking up for yourselves and achieving something more, right?
Yeah, agreed. And let me add to that too, Chris. And this also kind of piggybacks off of what you said, Vincent, is that I'm now past my story of that, right? I share that just because it's within the context of, you know, the questions I'm answering. And there's one thing in terms of responding. It's how you respond to your environment, how people view you. But after a certain point, you got to now live it on your own and continue to set new targets and boundaries, right? So I'm personally over that whole TV show, right? I find it such a, I find great gratitude in that process. I have no ill feelings. I actually love Oprah. I love what they did because it catapulted me to who I am. So it's not even like, oh man, you know, I'll show them. I'm just like, man, thank you for existing because now I'm where I am. And so as you continue to evolve and reach new heights in your own lives, that target is going to always change and your reasons for sharing your story is going to change. But at the same time, you still have to continue to say, my name is Chris Tang. This is the person I want to become. My name is Vincent. This is the person I want to become. From there, no story matters anymore. It's just whatever it takes for you to get to that point B. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. And when you were saying that you wrote things into existence, what did you mean by that? Like, what other things are you still putting energy towards for it to happen?
Yeah. So, for example, see the hat that I'm wearing right now?
Yeah.
This hat's called Melon Brand. They are the premier luxury hats in the world, right? So, for example, they just signed Phil Mickelson, the legendary golfer, to this team. One thing that I spoke into existence was that, you know what, these guys, they sponsor, like back in the day, had like Aaron Rodgers, and when they had D Wade, right? Phil Mickelson, and I know them too. I know the two guys, but you know, as a personal development, just a lifestyle kind of guy, there's no place for me to be able to have a sponsorship through these guys, right? But I had written down maybe 3-4 years ago that somehow, some way, I will represent Melon Brand as an ambassador or a sponsor for these guys. I had written that down 2 years ago. I still have the voicemail on my phone right here. The founder left a voicemail saying, Cary, man, hey, we want to talk to you. Call me back. And I have a video of them inviting me to their headquarters saying, Cary, we love what you do so much. We love what you stand for, that we want you to represent Melon Brand as an ambassador. You know, and it's things like that, man. It's things like I had written down that I will get to speak on stage with Tim Story one day. Not only did I speak on stage with Tim Story, after he had spoken, he personally introduced and brought me onto the stage as the next speaker. And now we have a relationship. We were texting each other earlier this morning. You know, so it's really all these things that just may sound absolutely ridiculous, but unless you unleash it out to the world and declare such a thing, nothing like that is going to even be possible. Right. So I have notes and documents, just endless documents of that, that I had written in journals, in my composition books for years, since 2012, that all these things come to fruition. Case in point, the guy who told me to write these things was a guy named Thatch Nguyen. He's a real estate mogul out of Seattle. I used to just randomly listen to his CDs, his motivational CDs, and it talked about the law of vibration, the law of attraction. This is 2012 when I first got in real estate. And I followed his power hour methods, right? Where you wake up early in the morning, you journal, you write 10 things that you're grateful, 10 things that you want to speak into existence. And a week and a half ago, Thatch came onto my podcast and I said, Thatch, it's because of you that I did all these things. And now here we are. You were speaking face to face. You know, it's something that I had spoken into existence. And now he and I are friends. And so 4.5 years ago, when I written my book, maybe the last 10% of my book was just me projecting my future self into existence, which is all have either happening or is happening now or have already happened. So I really want to just share, if anything, I just want to share that with you guys and your audience. Like we, especially as Asian men, we're kind of programmed to think smaller, right? Just do the safe thing, but be the best at being the small thing. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be the CEO, but just be the best director of engineering. You know what I mean? We're programmed to think that, but if we could just get past that mindset where we're locked in to where we think we could only go and be the best at, we can actually 10x that with just this unlimited mindset that we can be exactly who we want to be. It's just that it's never been manifested or professed into your own ecosystem.
That's definitely something that kind of shocked me. Like we've had like prior discussions with like for instance like our last podcast that went live, Alan Z, kind of like the whole idea of like, you know, we're always the ones that kind of like do all the hard work, the ones that like, at least in the Asian Americans, right, we're always seen as the ones that are doing the hard work, the laborious work, right? We're, you know, we are doctors, we're lawyers, you know, we're accountants, you know, we're engineers and everything like that, you know, the whole spectrum, right? And all these fields, right, in a sense, is like kind of playing it safe, right? Working for someone that can kind of like you can still benefit off of, right? In terms of like your financial security and the financial benefits of that company. And it's really these individuals that are kind of like reaping the benefits, right? The owners, the CEOs, right? They're like able to use you as like a kind of like a stepping stone. We talked about how like that resonated with me, especially because in elementary school, I was always taught to, you know, just do good in school, right? So because I was taught like that with my parents, you know, and then whenever we had like group projects, I was like, okay, I gotta do good in this project. And then it was like, it ended up being like most of the work being done was by me, just because like I needed to get that A. I needed to, you know, make sure I got a good grade in this class because my parents told me to. So I would just subconsciously just be like, guys, don't worry about it. I got it. If I really thinking that, hey, these guys could be like potentially the future CEOs, right? And kind of seeing it in that aspect, like early life, early childhood, how you're already doing the work and these individuals are reaping the benefits of you doing the majority of the work. It's like daunting that our system is so skewed, or at least for me, you know, it could be different for other people, but like that's kind of what happened to me, and kind of like the talk and the discussion we had definitely resonated and brought that childhood memory back up.
I think no, I agree, Chris. Like I think a lot of people would actually say the same thing, because yesterday, June 23rd, was also Vincent Chin's death's anniversary, and his cousin wrote a little piece talking about, you know, her figuring out who he was, blah blah blah. And one of the things that she mentioned was when she was trying to figure out who he was and the family history, her parents kept saying, "Why are you so curious? Like why do you care? Like it doesn't matter, you know." Um, just cruise, don't worry about it. And you know, her inner demons and inner conversations with that stuck with her, because for growing up, then she kind of learned to just not say anything, not speak up. If it doesn't affect me, then I won't really chase after it, and to just uh become like shelled, and not really fight for what you really care about. And throughout that whole piece that she was talking about, she said the she just keeps battling with herself and saying, no, I'm gonna say something, no, I'm gonna fight, no, this is how it has to be, and I'm going after it. And it starts within ourselves, right? We have to quote unquote wake up and have that power and that mental strength to just say no. We have to be resilient and just progress in that form.
Dude, that's what's up. Yeah. And it's always going to be predicated on how you are controlling your inner conversation, right? So for example, even if we're talking to each other, what we're really doing is listening to our own voices as a filter, you know? So even if I say, Chris, dude, you're the man, after this, you're going to go and do what you said, what you're going to do. You're going to freaking break out and be this dope human being. He can hear that from me, but whatever's been programmed and ingrained all these years in his subconscious is going to finally dictate the final outcome of his actions. So now Chris has to go back and say, okay, what am I saying here? Okay, what's a lie? What have I been telling myself all these years that made me not do it at the end, but this time I'm going to do it, right? It's how do we continue to navigate through our own inner conversations? So whatever we can reveal, we can transform. So the better we can master our inner conversations, we can master our outer lives. You see what I'm saying? So even as a coach, they always say that your outer world is only a reflection of your inner world, right? It's not about how we see the world. It's what we say to ourselves, right? So it's, as men, as Asian American men, especially you guys are crazy. You guys are living in a crazy climate in Chicago right now. A lot of turmoil, violence, racial tension. And then it's like, whatever you say gets you in trouble. Whatever you don't say also gets you in trouble. So right now, more than ever, it's really confusing. How do we become our greatest selves if we can't say certain things that might offend other people? And if we stay silent, that's also part of the problem too. Who do we listen to? Right. And so it's such a growing time for all of us right now to be able to reach from the depths of our core, to go back to the drawing board, act like a child again, and almost even start drawing what we want out of our lives, writing it out and seeing it and having fun with it. Like, yo, man, what would I really truly want to do if money was no issue? If I got paid $10 million, no matter what I did, what would I be doing? You know, and whether I got paid $10 million a year or not, like, I would still be doing what I'm doing right now. And I've been able to figure that out all through hardship and pain. You know what I'm saying? So right now, more than ever, especially during COVID, not everyone's going out into the world yet, is the best time to use tension as your friend so that you can see what's at the other side of the outcome.
I like that. Kind of like adapting and using the resources around you and kind of using it to learn, huh? For you, Cary,
Not even adapting, create it, right? Not even adapting, creating something.
For you, what tools do you typically carry in your back pocket for, self-growth and I guess grounding yourself? What are your top three tools?
Yeah, I spend time alone. That's a tool. Like, I love being, being an extrovert is just part of the type of work that I have to do, but I'm very private. I'm very introverted. So even discussions like these, like in a very intimate, small group type of panel, is something that I love, because additionally, we could just pour into each other, individually, and get to know each other and have some real good, deep conversations. So that's definitely one way for me to, uh, empower myself, feel energized again when the world kind of tends to drain us a little bit. I love to do, for me, like doing jujitsu, working out is a form of meditation for me. So again, it's a way for me to exert energy, my mental, as well as get some good cardio on, and you're working on your own craft, right? And then last part is I just enjoy lately. I go back and I listen to old good music that I used to love growing up. Music that's therapeutic. It could be anywhere from like K-pop to J-pop to like Michael Jackson to old school Tupac Shakur. Anything that allowed me to feel like I was a kid again, where I felt like there's no care in the world, where I could just sing and dance, have no one care. I care less if anyone sees me. Going out on walks with my dog has just been extremely amazing. Other than that, I still always read. I pay attention to to YouTube content that's based in out of integrity and you know, real breakthrough, not scammy, spammy type of stuff. You know what I mean? But connecting with you guys, man, stuff like this, I think is extremely empowering because there's a lot of noise out there. People just want to be heard just to be heard or to promote whatever they got to do to promote. But again, you know, I have no idea where this is going in terms of like where it's being distributed to, but the fact that the three of us are here connecting one-on-one, like, I don't care who's listening right now. It's just us. Right. So stuff like that is really, really empowering. That's what we need most, is just really building deeper communities. That's what we need, you guys, is deeper communities. Everyone's trying to go far out and wide. We just need to go like an inch wide and go a mile deep as a community. That's where people are going to experience real relationships, real breakthroughs, real trust, real friendship. And that's where actual networking happens. Because now I'm going to say, yo, you got to talk to my boy Vincent, or Chris. You got to meet my guy Peter over here. This is the type where the new social media is going to experience real breakthroughs. A tribe that you build through conversations like these is going to be the game changer, I believe.
Yeah, man, networking is king. And when I first started getting into this whole networking thing, I you know, because I'm very extroverted, just like you. Like, I could be very extroverted, but typically I like to sit back and recharge for a long time, kind of get my me time. But I always thought it was about how many people I could network with, right? How many people can I, when they say surround yourself around good people, how many good people can I find, right? And then just maybe I want to say a year and a half ago, or just last year, my team and my close friends kind of made me realize, like, it's really not about the quantity, you know, it's about the quality. And like you said, mile deep, right? You're making sure those connections. We actually spoke with Kathy yesterday, and she was saying, making sure, Kathy Trim, and making sure that the connections are organic, and making sure that the connections that you make they really mean something. And it's just not like, oh, let me introduce you to Cary, or let me introduce you to Chris, right? It's not like that. Because that's really superficial, and that really doesn't get anywhere.
Right.
It does get people more confused. And like bouncing off of that is kind of like the whole idea of like, just you don't want to spread yourself so far thin, right? It's kind of like going back to like what we kind of started with. It's like when you spread yourself so thin, right? And the more people that know of you, people can take advantage of that, right? Kind of like whether it's, you know, defacing your name, right? Or like just kind of creating random rumors, you know, all the way to like, you know, trying to use your name as like a stepping stool to get into another group, or to get into some
Name
other
drop.
Yeah, exactly, name dropping right there. You know, just kind of like that way you keep your circle small and pure, right? And when you keep it small and pure, kind of like ice fishing, you know, it's like get the small hole, you know, get your bait in the freaking in the ice, and you're just fishing. It's slow, but the patience pays off, right? Because sooner or later you're gonna catch that fish, right? Sooner or later you're gonna catch that pike, that walleye. You're gonna pull it up, and you're gonna you know, fillet it, cook it however you like to cook it, and it's gonna be so satisfying because you caught that fish in the blistering cold. You know.
Do you want to go fishing, Chris?
I love.
Sounds like you want to go fishing.
I'm one of those guys that, like, you know, I really love fishing. I grew up fishing. You know, my dad, my uncle, they've brought me fishing since I was like a very little kid, and it's just something that I hold dear to, because when you're out there, right, even if it's just like a few hours, you're on a boat, you know, with your family, and you're just hanging out there and you're just talking, and then you're just fishing. The world and time slows down so much that it's like, where am I? You know, all you hear is just serene sounds, right? You hear nature, you hear the water splashing, you know, you hear like animals in the forest. You know, it's like, it's crazy. You know, it's kind of experience like life like a slowed down life. You know, because I'm a city boy. You know, me, Vince, we're both city boys. Like, we grew up in the city, and everything's fast paced. You know, what are you doing now? Yo, okay, we're gonna go here. All right, bet, I'll meet you there, right? And then we're just hanging out with friends. You know, whether it's like just one-on-one eating, or you know, meet up with like 2-3 friends, and then we meet up with like another group, and then, you know, we go to the beach, we play football, whatnot, grill. It's like super fast paced. And then when you go out to fish, everything slows down. it's
Yeah.
I actually like that a lot.
Yeah, it's very nostalgic. And
Yeah.
I actually had a question for you, Carrie, when you talked about, listening to music and thinking back when you were things that make you feel like a kid again. Do you think can being nostalgic all the time um, be a like hold you back? You know what I don't know how to ask that question properly, but like, cause I spend so much time thinking about my past, and I think about like, damn, I wish I miss the good old days. I miss being with my friends. I miss being a kid. Like, do you think reflecting in that sense and just being nostalgic all the time can be a burden to you as a person?
It depends what you focus on. So when I think listen to the good music, I'm like, yeah, I remember these days, man. This is dope, right? It's not like I'm thinking about when I got beat up, or it's not. I don't associate these types of music to a bad scenario. So it's a way for me to feel free, and then so I could dream again. It's a way, it's a release for me to untangle the stress that I'm experiencing, or all the commotion we see on the news, to say, hey, I remember feeling like this. Why can't I feel like this again, so that I could take some bigger steps today for a better outcome tomorrow? So it's more of that. I look at it as that. So music is for me a release. Now in real life, if you're constantly thinking about the negative, right, thinking about your history, yeah, absolutely, that can stifle you from moving on to the next level. So it's kind of like when we drive a car and we look at the rear view mirror, right? We can't just keep looking in the rearview mirror. We're going to crash and hit, right? But it's needed, it's necessary, because it gives us what perspective, right? It gives us a better perspective of where we're going, making sure that things are in the proper place. So all that is just, it's a great area for us to have perception and be perspective. But we also have to always keep moving forward and have that destination, that clear cut destination where we're going. So, history is necessary. It's completely necessary. And because it shapes you. And again, your future should be the one navigating you step by step every single day. It's the future. Listen, man, like if you had a rough past, I'm sorry. I'll sit here and hug you and cry with you. I'll listen to you. But yo, man, like let's get you dancing with the future. That's what's going to get us to point B. You know what I mean?
Hmm. For sure. And I actually never heard that analogy to a car. That's awesome. I like that. I'm gonna start using that.
Yeah, please do.
Um,
Rear view
um,
mirror.
yeah, review mirror. Do you so you also have like personal private sessions right now? Like you have like mentors, or you're mentoring people one on ones?
Yeah.
You do that
Yep, I
too?
do. I do. I've bundled it to a few, to where like I also incorporate, fitness, right? So it's doing like simple exercises to pep talks, to like taking time and whether it's an hour a week or whatever. I do that. I have different programs here and there. My biggest passion now is really going out there and just creating a huge media platform where I'm creating a lifestyle community with centered around food and culture. And I really like to, spit a lot of cool wisdom through experience and through the people that I do content with, as like my main screen. So that's what I'm building towards right now.
That's awesome. You still do corporate stuff? You speak at corporate level,
Yeah, well, not right now. Yeah, but
but
yeah,
you
I
did.
do corporate events. I'll speak at like law firms or health companies and whatnot. I'll go in there and speak.
Mm. Change
Yeah.
people's lives. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So going off of when you were with Tim's story, um you mentioned when you were on your early journey to discovering yourself and empowering yourself, you got lost in other people's philosophy, right? Is that what? How do you? So what happened there? So you kept taking in information, right? And then all of a sudden you lost yourself.
Yeah. So I was so motivated and hungry to just get to that next level, like an A-list, the Gary V's, Tony Robbins, that I lost sight of my own trajectory and my own personal growth. So, this also rocked my marriage in a way, because I had invested over $100,000, buying people's programs, um, going to these masterminds, um, workshops, online courses. Like I did all that in a span of about a year and a half. And each mentor or coach, they all say something different, right? So if I go to one coach, it's like, oh, Cary, you got to be like this, and then what I see from you is this. This is where your capabilities and unique. So this is what you got to do. Okay, great. But I'm going to this next one. They tell me completely something else. No, don't listen to that advice. You should do this. This is the new way of doing this and this and that. And it was an endless cycle that by the end, I was just like, wait, I'm back to square one. Like this is what I wanted to do. I built this entire thing, going basically, I just wanted to do this on a much bigger scale, but everyone's telling me something different. And now I now want to go listen to Tony Robbins. Well, what does Gary Vee have to say? What is Oprah saying? What is Bruce Lee saying? And you eventually, you just follow way too many people. You get so many ideas. You got people from this faith telling me this. You got this person, this community saying this. And you fall into a place where it's like, who do I trust anymore? Whose voice is even real anymore? Is my voice being lost in it? And so people get lost. And I went through that, man. I went through that. I lost my identity. And through that, I had to rebuild my authentic self again. And in the midst of that, I lost a ton of money, came out of our savings. At the same time, we were trying to buy a house. So that made things complicated, right? So it was a dark period where it was like supposed to be the most exciting time as a personal development guy and a coach and a transformation coach. But I was the one who needed the most help at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And it's tough because you reach out, but they're like, dude, you're the guy coaching this stuff, man. Like it's a mindset thing. Come on, dude. Right. And I just had to just go become a child again and kind of unlearn everything so that I can realize at the deepest depth of my core why I'm meant to be on this earth. And for me, it's to serve and empower people to be at their best. And for me, I have to be at my best to do that. Doesn't matter what my title is anymore. I have many titles. I do multiple things to receive, money and all that kind of stuff. So I'm fine. But at the end of the day, I exist to build kings and queens and champions of their craft. And I went back to just going that. And I just started connecting with people one by one all over again, and that's been a really, really transformational experience in and of itself. And I'm 42 now, so it's just more clear than ever in my life, like who I want to be every single day and what I have to do to continue to evolve and become the person that I say I want to be.
That's definitely something really, really humbling in a sense, right? It's like, being an individual that's all about like that, that coaches people around like their mindset, on their future and, what steps or what actions they should take to kind of pursue their dreams, right? And reach their goals. Yeah. To then like kind of go into like a downward spiral in a sense, right? Trying to figure out, what's the right path for you as well. And then to then be lost and then rediscover yourself by unlearning, right? Unlearning your learned conditions and your learned history to now be back to where you were, and it be back to where you were in a sense where you're still doing, helping people achieve their goals, their passions, but at a greater level, right? Because you've been there, right? You've personally been there, right? You've been in a downward spiral trying to figure out who you are, losing connection with yourself, to rediscovering it, right? That's just really humbling, right? It's like that's just amazing in my eyes, to now take everything back and really educate people that are currently struggling, trying to figure out, what their true passions are, what they should be doing. Am I okay with doing this 9 to 5? If not, what can I do? What are my passions? What are my goals? What's my aspiration? That's just beautiful in a whole lot of ways.
Chris, thanks for that, man. I appreciate you on that. Thank you. Thanks, Vince.
And it's always like that too. Like most people in your position, Cary, when they fall so far and then when they find themselves, they always seem to want to give back, right?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think this is just my journey, but I believe that I think we all want to. I think it's in us as natural human beings to want to. I think we are all called to be servant leaders in a way. I don't think we're here to just work and have kids and die. You know, I think innately we have emotions that fulfill us by knowing that we've done good deeds, right? And because social media is conditioning us to only show highlights or the cool things, it's hard for people to grasp that, you know, money is a big issue for everybody. Let's make no mistake. We're all grinding. We all want to make the most. We want to earn the most. But the semantics in making money and the concept of money is really just an idea. Money was just an idea that was brought to life, right? Before everyone served each other, that's how the world worked. I would trade my sheet of goats for Vince's rice, and his rice would be traded to Chris for leather. That's how we would all survive. It was on the basis of good faith, right? Communicating and trading and just trusting that our trade is going to make the world go around until someone came up with the concept called money, right? So we're not out there trying to make money because there's only two people in the world who make money, which is the government. And then there's counterfeiters who make fake money, right? So the concept is that as human beings, you know, now with the invent of money and there's credit cards and now there's Bitcoin, no one knew what Bitcoin was. That never existed, but people are trading off of Bitcoin now because it's an idea that's based off of confidence that people can exchange. So if you think about, to answer your question, why do we give? It's because I think we were born to do that. We were made to serve each other. And when you look at money, right? You and I don't make money. You and I have money, right? Money is a byproduct of us adding value to each other. The more value you add, the more money we get, right? The more problems we solve for other people, whether it's directly or on the masses, indirectly through you, that's where we earn money. And so the semantics alone, at least for me, changed my relationship to money. Whereas I understand now that I've been blessed. My wife has been blessed. We have a home here now, but the money part is just a byproduct of us truly serving others, and the more we do it, the more money we get. It's just the way the ecosystem and the energy, the law of the universe works, you know. And sometimes it's a lot sooner, sometimes it takes a little more time, but I just love it. It's just been in my genes or DNA. I don't know, because both my grandfathers were missionaries, man. You know, so I don't know whether it's a hereditary, generational type of thing, but I always wanted to help people. I always did. That I want to earn $1 billion so I could give so much of that away. You know what I mean? I really do. That's really, I hope you guys can sense the genuineness in that, because the more I earn, the more I want to give and add to society, for sure.
Oh yeah, man, I respect that. It just, if it makes you feel too, like, well, for me at least, it's so frustrating when you see people who make it and then they're giving back, but it makes me frustrated because I'm like, fuck, I want to be at that level so I could do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's weird because, like you said, it feels innate that we just want to serve, because it's like, no one did that for me, right? In terms of that, but for some reason I just feel like I want to help. And you know, seeing videos where, I don't know if you saw Justin Bieber's good intentions, like that shit like that makes me tear up, because it's like, yes, you're helping the less fortunate, the people that really need it. Or Rich Brian's like Bali music video, I don't know if you saw that, but he's just giving during COVID, right? He's just giving, and that's just the beautiful thing about human beings like that, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. And can I also add, you know, Chris's story about the fishing is dope. You know why? Is because fishing is I was smiling because I love fishing too. Like I watch fishing YouTube videos like every day. Because
I thought I was the only one, dude.
No, man, I'm with you, dude. You know, fisherman's life and all that kind of stuff on YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I love about fishing, there's a great analogy to life, is that, you know, when it comes to like fishing, right, you have to use all of your mental faculties. Like, you can't rely on, it's basically you're in the moment and you have to smell, touch, hear, feel, taste, every condition out of your mental faculties to gather as much information to be able to catch that fish. You have to look at the birds flying. You have to see the ripples in the water. You have to hear the wind. You have to hear people's chatter. Like, oh, I saw some terns over there. You look for like kelp patties because that's where the fish hide and live. You have to see how your drag is like, you know what I mean? Like it's one of the greatest way to just be absolutely in tune with yourself and in nature. And it's such a beautiful way to learn more about yourself. So to me, man, dude, fishing is such an underrated tool, you would say, as a way to know yourself and your future and appreciate the small things in life, man. It really does stop time and make you realize how good we have it in life, dude, for sure.
Definitely, 100%.
Have you guys ever went clam fishing?
No.
Oh man.
Clam fishing?
Yeah, dude, that's awesome too. So why are you laughing?
I don't know. It just sounds like something that's gonna be funny. I've never heard of it though. I've never heard of it. Well,
I don't know if it's a real thing or maybe my Asian relatives just so happened to we were in Seattle, we were in like the sand area and the tide went down and there's just a bunch of clams. And we just went over and we used our feet to like tap the sand and see if anything's under there. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was just an Asian thing. Maybe they're just like, fuck, we need to get dinner tonight. So found some clams. We'll go get some. But yeah, that was peaceful.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love clams, man.
Clams,
Chris, what are you saying?
Scallops are so good. But yeah, kind of like fishing in a sense, right? It's like you can take it as like a we can take it away as two things, right? We can take it as like a recreational thing where it's seen as a hobby and enthusiast thing, as well as kind of something that helps you relax, right?
Yeah.
But also you can see it more as like a skill, right? Kind of like how we would fish and like kind of like going back to the whole trading days, right? Where we would trade off like, like I would trade you fish for maybe some water, or I would trade you fish for some like leather. Or I would trade trade you some fish, Cary. Like if you run like a lodging, right? I can trade you some fish for a night's stay. So now I have a roof over my head for it now.
Yeah.
So it's just something to really think about. And then now you can sell the fish to Vincent, right? Like let's say he's just there, but he's not going to spend the night, but he's hungry and he needs to eat and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cary, so we got about 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna ask you a few questions here. What is your superpower?
My superpower is the ability to meet people where they're at and invite them to dream big again.
That's awesome. And what can people expect to find or learn when they get your book, Own Yourself?
I think they see just how accessible and personable I am. I'm really just I'm a lover of people. I'm very curious. I think Chris said that before, the word curious, right? And I just truly, once I realized that even as an Asian American, my mom is from Japan. My dad is third generation Japanese American. So one side of the family came here in the 1800s. One just came straight off a plane, and they married and had me. Right. So I wanted to introduce a new culture, which is, the first culture is Japanese, second culture is American. And then what I didn't realize was that I'm a misfit, right? I didn't really fit in anywhere. That's the third culture. So I developed the third culture, and that third culture has allowed me to always be extremely fascinated and curious of other people, their culture, the diversity, how people tick, how people behave, their influence. That's the biggest thing that I think people will realize about me, is that it's funny that people take interest in me. I am more interested in other people than about myself or my work. And so I hope that people will see the passion in that really my passion is to get to know you guys even more and seeing how we can develop, on a deeper level, how this life works, because dude, it's tough out there, right? It is. As blessed as we are, as beautifully we can always turn our scopes and see, the great things. It's also very tough. And I think that people will see that I'm, I am truly passionate and genuine about being authentically connected with people.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things when you mentioned being a misfit, to those out there who feel that way too, embrace it. You're random, you're weird, you're different, you're unique, and you want to embrace it and make sure that it is a part of your identity. Don't try to run away from it, because when you try to run away from it, you don't know, and if you try to hide it, you don't know who will like you for that person, right? Because if you're always walking around with a mask on, you know not only will people maybe like you for that mask, but then what about yourself? How do you feel inside? You know,
Yeah.
so you might as well just nip it in the butt. Start from the beginning. Don't even try putting on that mask. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. And be okay, be completely okay. Be willing to be misunderstood for you to get to where you want to go. You got to be okay with that. You will be misunderstood, and that's fine.
And then lastly, what last bit of advice would you like to leave our listeners and viewers, Cary?
Yeah, man. Do whatever it takes. Just fall in love with yourself, man. If that means to spend, a good portion of your day just learning new things, or listening to music, or watching a movie to find your own story within it. I can't tell you that the most important person is yourself. Now, there's a lot of people who are like faith-based. So say like I have a lot of Christian friends who say, no, it should be God, right? And they have a problem with me saying this. So that's why I always say, own yourself, right? Because if you don't own yourself, then you're not going to be able to be the best Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or whatever, or the best father or the best son. You have to own it yourself first. You got to be the best for yourself. And how many people do we see out there who are morbidly obese, who are parents, and say, well, I don't care because I'm just here for my kids. You're already contradicting yourself, because you're cutting your life short. You're putting yourself at danger. How are you supposed to be the best mom or dad if you're 50, 60, 70 pounds overweight? That you're contradicting yourself, right? So in order to become the best parent, you got to be the best version of yourself, which is healthy, which is strong, which is smart, which is self-serving, right? And people have it backwards. And that's why I always say, own yourself, master your craft, rise to the challenge so that you can get your greatest work out into the world. And that could be a father or a businessman or an employee, or, you know what I mean? So that's why I stay true. And I've always stayed true to that, because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is how you show up to this world.
That's beautiful. I like that a lot, and definitely kind of like paying homage to yourself, right? That's really the most important thing, right? Just understanding who you are, what you're about, right, and staying true to your beliefs and your goals and your intentions, right? Kind of, I really like the analogy that you made with like the parent that might be like overweight or obese, trying to take care of their children and saying like they're my goal, they're my most important, they're my everything.
Yeah. But you see how there's contradiction in that, right?
Yeah. I see that.
Yeah, it's funny how it works.
It kind of is.
Yeah. But yeah, Cary, thank you so much for your time, man. Like, I know you always talk about one of the powers as well is being able to give people your utmost high quality time. And for those who don't know, like, we just reached out to Cary through DMs, and it's such an honor to have you, respond and be here. It's a privilege, and it's great. And we really appreciate all the wisdom and value you bring to us and to our listeners and viewers, man. Thank you.
Oh man, it's my pleasure, you guys. Thank you so much for considering me, and it's an honor for sure. So you guys stay safe out there in Chicago. Keep doing your thing, and live out to your greatest potential. That's it. That's going to be the gift to us, for you guys to live out to your best, is a gift to us, man.
100%. And where can people find you, Cary? Social media?
Yeah, best way is just Cary Does on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. And so, yeah, I'm very accessible no matter what. But yeah, that's probably the first place for sure.
For sure. Awesome.
All right. And then for our listeners and viewers, you can always find us on all streaming platforms, the Spotify, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, all things at The Eating Cast. Make sure to hit that follow button, leave a comment, review. We love all the feedback. And if you have any guest recommendations or questions you would like to send us to ask the guests, feel free. We love the participation from you guys. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, everyone.
Much love.
Thank you. And again, Cary, we just want to thank you for coming on and taking part of your day. And for our viewers and our listeners, we just want to thank you guys for stopping by. And we will catch you guys in the next one. Take care and bye-bye.
Peace. Bye.